Afra Odikai Kanini friend na Jokoto bra no ya to sebo TV so no one achim Apradehene one adura sabre afei bema ofi kwasi okoji asuo aduam pofrantwi kokofu manyene woye tumni antwi na na prakopa afei aye kokofu kronkohene nana bonsra aso ededi bema ofi kwasi awokoji asuo kokofu manyene nim no aye kokofu dadi asoyine ane anantayine wo mnyina dura abra Asantehema ko na duru ba bi nsuo wa ye den no bama ane kwaji nsuo afro ban kwaji nsuo bra Asantehema tefa no bama ofi kwasi a okoji asuo afei denya se mahima aso aka ho ancha na otumfo adura etie basra kokofu mamu okrom adua pofranchi mamu okrom tumni antwina na no mu okrom kokofu fonkwa no afe ampoba me ahene afe oshim aya atwuma twafo hene oshima se hene nana enso na aduru ayi sabra tani aduru ayi de na yewura otumfo ancha na waduru ha kontre atrase akoma atrase aya enkawie kuma nana ntwaje yasemo otumfo ba wa hini bia wa mabia wa hini wamwia umabia atonso hima original ana aduru ano atanifo aduru idea na otumfo kotoko hini aduru asei otumfo abawia wa hini bia emabia amamre kwanso madaroma etum animontre oyini bia wontra asie bia kotoko hini trase wia aye nana antwagei atwuma hini otwuma hini daduam nana no nana na adura se sabre nana antwagei bempon nana atwuma hini otumfo aya abodom hini oyini ba antwagei abodom hini nana eso dura sabre otumfo aba eti oyini bia wa trase no wa wudu phone betwa bia no security fo girejira ho yenya phone na ye beje anaso would cry any camera device aye accredit wana ye ma wutumi se twa bia no aye Airtel Ghana womo managing director aye Mami Lucy Quist etwa wano Airtel womo susu baya womba sumo tumfo kane sika 100 million and 10,000 Ghana cedis afeno danchaya broni ansa namsa Airtel ati amamre asinti broni zapentu misroso beka sababia eno ani Airtel for say welcome to the new world, the smartphone network. Afena bafo ensumankwa hine aduru ha yasrabu nananom bafo ensumankwa hine sabre kontre afo asuso ebi ewa ha Aya bafo owusu asare amankwatia otumfo sahine otutu atuo Asantehemaa sahine okochiri dom otipudio so kontrafako na adura sabre no bafo owusu asare amankwatia otoso ensia bafo owusu amankwatia otoso ensia batwa ine woni ni kontre ana adura sabre otutu atuo no osahine nkrofo no tuuna atuo nyina ne chete batwa ine wo sahine wo war leader eti wo ba obi nka nkyerɛw one atwema da aduam nana no mo twema hene donyina hene nana osai dankwa nana otimpie aben sasa mo hene nana osai tre otumfo enkonson hene oba menhia hana amamre nyina ya boa no de agu amayen otumfo enkonson hene ya won konson tua no hene anonom sa hene so ho kwanse tuo hene wo ho empaboa hene wo ho asante amamre no no aya ba fo nsumankwa hene woni nsumankwa fakuo nyina nana mancha hene anchira hene abodom nana mensa bonsu aya kase hene nana pakoso aso ena adura sabre otumfo kwanse tuo hene nana ena adura won oto hene kwanse mutuo nana body ase nana so na adura sabre wone emperimfo aya nana ajeni mboaten sabre aya otumfo asomfo nana mayemfo ana wo maduru asabre aya nana apasemaka hene otumfo kani asofo hene otumfo sana hene nana kwasi nyantachi nana kwadwo nyantachi nana asehene nana nom aduru ene chesa kotoko hene ancha na wapie edwaimu nana chichiwere ahene nana ano hene nana osai nana osai kwaku otumfo sama hene na sama hene nana ensoso eka nananom ho bi sabra ye hunu nananom sei no na kire sa kotoko hene abaha nana osai boa otoso miensa ango aya otumfo antara hene nana enso na aduru ayi sabre ansaniefo atuatiri encha na ohene aduru dwaimu ansaniefo na aduru sabre ya wo mu ahihye eche aya ansaniefo bodede ahene nana ena adura sabre afe emeya aduru hayi ya frano kwakranya nkokranya omuso na atwamu yi aya nana boadi nkokora nyahene sa mena ekono ohina otwia no aye nkokora nyahene na adura yi afei nkofe amansusu na adura sabre yi nkofe nananom abo wadum nyina ho ban emfie waha bebrebe besi ene aya nkofe hene nana ensu na adura sabre encha na otikokoso aya nana abembe hene ono owo America mem sa som Ghana asom krobia kotoko hene yasra musa lana edi otumfo anim ne pa ho a obi amfa nchan ebiew bambofo no aye krado etu ya wonka ho anu ayi ho afrim na waka kire ho afei batafodwa ana eba no we nyina ya nananom niema ese yesua ho ade afei nananom konyasofo aye konyasofo hene bafo dabanka aso edi akire otumfo aprede anonso otumfo agra otumfo tutinia anonso aka ho bie sa grey agra otumfo nkwa na ne dia aya agra ya ba se friend seche hine anso da dikan nana osai seche hine ayo otumfo agra ya mama sabe ni patata bia na ni pahunu ana wohunu bia kotoko hine wadu jom amamra ekwanso no ahene nananom ana ekura abrewatia ade no eba enti emema akantranwam yinyina ye ahene nananom ade wonana abesi edwakese yi mu a yebeye asore kese de agane kwan kotoko hine atrasi wia adoma wodwom nyina moda roma mu befiri ho na enu akire de beka ye papa nom asofo a obedi esom yi anim sabrei antwinisri nyina da fom nanso twene a yegu so aye boy aye na Asantehemaa nagro aye tipri ane amoakwa atwene ne bebre ehunu ha abro emfie ahanu ahanan ane emfie ahasa abrei otufo trase wie na yenya enkrafri nananom achiamefo a na yadane akire ama asofo a wo mu na ebedi yanim aye Dean of Cathedral Very Reverend Matthew Kwame Achampong etua wonano aya babia na ahema esia no obia firi ho nasa ya bama asojafo no na aba bawen eho enti obia woni twaka bia no firi ho na asojafo no ebawen eho babia na ahema ewo no obi biada efiri ho anidiem asojafo no ebetake over obia firi ha anka jase fo no yabasra asra fo no sa mo beko na mo koye mo adwuma na obia ma ho na anka wo ma wo asum chafa amamra kwanso ewo ho enti amao nanafo obia ma ho ena ho
Yasamo. Obia mfi ho adu ani ebre. Wan fi ho na bibitu a, wan osampa. Wan uja obia wan fi ho na bibitu a, osampa obia mfi ho.
All right.
Yasamo yewra trase. Obia mfi ho na asofo nya kwan nyoma sorry. Yesa na bibitu a, wan osampa. Obia mfi ho. Samu na atu ani bre. Yebuso obia bagigi ai. Obia fra mu no. Na bibia meto no. A pigeon on the Bresay, a pigeon on the Massam Radio, the Blabba, to Pia Fro. Then your money is upon your common pie. That's a taste of your money. What's also a tin over Jahono? The 2 open.
Bafo katakrenchi otufo chame akasa. Yasi obia emfiri na empenise sabe aboa wansampobre wa mpafunu ho a
Nana J Sikapa Masom Kakra Ewaha. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the Master of Ceremony for this burial service, Most Very Reverend Elvis Kwame Achampong. He is the Dean of the Cathedral of the Anglican Church, Kumasi, and assisted by Reverend Father Charles Osei Poku. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to hand over the microphone for the official burial service which will be conducted by the Anglican Church. We entreat all the cameramen to go a bit far away from the red carpet. So all the cameramen should go a bit far away from the red carpet, because we'll be laying wreath. We thank you very much, cameramen. We thank you so much, all the media houses here. All the cameramen should position themselves indeed a bit far away from the red carpet. The red carpet, thank you so much. Afe agrobia ewaha kete phantom from newaha bia no enyai baby ayadri de aha aya sorry demu eninti asori ene eba be ye waha ma wadwen enya wo se wawura asori demu enti sa oye wadwen sa obo twene obo kete obo de bibibia ye begiaw nya de awo sabeka amahine ni nyina mo kan kire phantom from ne adowa ni nyina se afei de ya drew asori demu adowa kete phantom from ni nyina emrase
ena yade
afei ya drew asori demu
abewatia soma etwato no ema no nti Anglican asori no ena abeye awufusom ede ama abewatia ede agya no kra we ye anidie etwato a ede ma yabewatia bra okon nsamanchire na okone agya Abraham ahwea bom kosi se ye nyina so ebeto ano no se de ye ka no Anglicans of Penin na ebeye awufusom ede ama yabewatia na Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem namu na abeduru aboboa no ha asofo atwa ho ahia ne bakro ne kaachire opemso osietutu abebi otosumienu akɔhwɛ ne maame afei ya jade aka no mo asofo no sɛ asofo no wie awufusom no a obema emu no so no de akɔ bantema ahemfie na ɔde akɔ ban mu na esu ne awerɛhoɔ na asie ahema dodoɔ no na ati nisuo ahenema dodoɔ no na ati nisuo ahenananom dodoɔ no so na ati nisuo Asantehemaa bebree no na ati nisuo ne nyina ne sɛ ene eye arehoda kese pa da pa eda kese a yebekai asante abakwasem eye obapani ebrotia Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem bra oka nchirigu ye no ene ye ofusum edi ama no na fei yede na akɔ eban mu akɔpɛ no krabe enti baabi a ede nana ebekɔ de ifiri ha eye bantema nso ewo amamre ni amane a obeye ne ho nso eban mu ansana wamaso e de akɔbreman na fei ono so de akɔ eban mu akɔpɛ no krabe enti se de awusi hunu no sabre ya ufusom no na ebekɔ so no ye asofo na hase de ufusom no ekoso
674 not 283 674. Kwefo be sorry na yato.
Mene owusɔre ne nkwa. Deɛ ɔgyemidi no sɛ wawu mpa a obenya nkwa. Na obiara ɔte aseɛ na ɔgyemidie no nso enwu da. Menim sɛ mede mafɔ no te ase. Dede di akyire no obeyi ne ho adi wɔ asase so. Na sɛdeɛ me honam itie no, mmoawa bɛsɛ me nipadua deɛ. Nanso me honam mu mehu Nyankopɔn. Me ankasa mehu no, mede m'aniwa behu no, na nyɛ ɔfoforo bi. Yamfa hwee amawiase ha. Ɛda hɔ fan sɛ yɛntumi mfa hwee mfiri ha nkɔ. Awurade na ɔde man. Awurade afa bio nhyira nka Awurade. Awurade enkai ne baba abremu bɔne ne mfomsoɔ na kai no sɛdeɛ wadɔyɛ tie. Awurade o papa nti dwene ne ho. Owuo ana nkwa ana abɔfoɔ ana atumfoɔ ana ahoɔden ana nneɛma a ɛwɔ hɔ ana nneɛma a ɛbɛba ana ɔsoro ana abon ana abɔdeɛ foforɔ biara ntumi ntete yɛne Nyankopɔn dɔ a ɔyɛ na Awurade Yesu Kristo mu no mu. Sɛ yɛte ase a yɛte ma Awurade na sɛ yɛwu nso a yɛwu ma Awurade. Enti sɛ yɛte ase o sɛ yɛwu o yɛyɛ Awurade dea. Wei din na Kristo bɔe ba ɛbɛwuyɛ na wonya nkwa foforɔ. Ɛno nti Kristo ayɛ awufoɔ ne ateasefoɔ nyinaa wura. Momma mo akoma ntutu. Monye Nyankopɔn ni na me nso monye me ni. Na tenabea pii ɛwɔ magya fie hɔ. Awurade dom yɛ nana daa home na mada han nhyɛ no so.
Uma yemo empaye. O God, whose property is ever to have mercy and to forgive, we humbly entreat thee for the soul of thy dear handmaid, Asantehemaa, Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem, which thou hast this day commanded to depart from this world. Deliver her not into the hands of the enemy, neither forget her at the last, but command that she received by the holy angel and brought unto the fatherland of paradise. Therefore, as much as she hope and believe in you, she may not undergo the pains of hell, but may obtain everlasting felicity through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The choir will sing Psalm 39. Psalm 39.
Like as it were a man breathing in every man for his bad vanity. Hear my prayer, Lord, and make thy ears soft in my calling. Oh, no, thank thee, Lord, my fears. Oh, I am as faithful with thee, and as certain of my Father's way. Oh, but he has his own memory of my spirit. Before I go, and there be no more sea.
Eternal, grant unto them, O Lord, and let light perpetual shine upon them. Yada quite for say. I can cancel every Revelation chapter 7, verse 9 to 17. And this same a train song, Jemon Kno Kosi Edu and so.
Ye no machiri no mi huni na hwe nipakuo kɛseɛ bi a obi ntimi nka wɔn a ofiri aman ani mutuakuo ani nkrɔfoɔ ni kasa nyinaa mu ni gyinagyina ahengua no ni adwama no anim hyehyɛ ntaade fitaa na okurakura brɛ na wɔde ani kɛse tia mu sɛ nkwagye no yɛ Nyankopɔn a ɔte ahengua no so yɛ ani adwama no dia. Na bɔfoɔ no nyinaa atwa ahengua no ne mpanyimfoɔ no ne ateasefoɔ baana no ho ahyia na wɔde wɔn nim butubutu fam ahengua no anim na kutu Nyankopɔn ka sɛ amen enhyira ni animonyam ani enyansa ani asida ni anidie ani tumi ni ahoɔden ɛyɛ Nyankopɔn ni dia daadaa na mpanyimfo no baako bisaa me sɛ yɛnum a wɔhyehyɛ ntadeɛ yiwu fita yi yɛ hwanom na ofiri he na meka kyerɛ no sɛ owura una onim na ɔka kyerɛ me sɛ yɛne wɔn a wɔfiri ahohia kɛseɛ no mu na wɔahoro wɔn ntadeɛ ama no ahoa wɔ adwama no mogya mu yɛnti na wɔwɔ Nyankopɔn ahene wɔn anim na wɔsom no awia ne anadwo na sɔɔdan mu na deɛ ɔte ahengua no soɔ no bɛkata wɔn so ɛkɔm ɛrenni wɔn bio nanso sukɔm ɛrenni wɔn bio nanso owia anaa ahuhuro biara ɛrento wɔn na adwama a wɔwɔ ahengua no mfimfini no bɛyɛn wɔn na wɔahwɛ wɔn na wɔde wɔn akɔ nkwa so tire ho na Onyankopɔn bɛpepa nisuo nyinaa afiri wɔn aniwa mu nyame adehyeɛ awurade asɛm nie.
Sing Nyankopɔn. The choir will sing hymn number 140, ancient and modern 140. Kwefo yedamase adumra ye ba betie yade nyina Asantehema ne ho abakosem na brabo mu nsem ene bibia bamie hu senia ositie. The biography of our dear Queen Mother Asantehema by Dr. Thomas Prempeh.
A true offspring of the royal lineage of the Ojoko clan of Kumasi, Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II was born in 1905 in Kumasi to Nana Ya Brago, also known as Nana Ya Bakani, the daughter of Nana Kwepriye, whose mother was Afia Kobi I, Asantehemaa from 1857 to 1880, after whom she was named. Nana Ya Brago's sister was Nana Akosua Hiafrawo, who gave birth to Nana Serwaa Nyakon, the 12th Asantehemaa, and Nana Kwecha Mansa, whose son was Otumfo Pokware II, the 15th Asantehene. The father of Nana Afia was Ohiniba Kojo the First. He was Asantehene who reigned from 1901 to 1973. He hailed from Achiasi and was a son of Otumfo Mensabunsu, Asantehene from 1874 to 1883. Nana Kwefiye had an older sister, Nana Yecha, from the same mother, Nana Afia Kobi the First, Asantehemaa. Nana Yecha gave birth to Nana Kwea Bakuma and to Nana Kwadu Yadom, the 11th Asantehemaa, 1917 to 1944, and also to Otumfo Ajima Prempeh I and others. Nana Kwea Bakuma gave birth to Otumfo Osajima Prempeh II, Nana Kosua Banie, and others. Nana Afia was born in a small room in a bright morning without the traditional birth attendant. The birth was heralded by an unusual incident of cocks jumping up and down with outstretched wings and continuous crowing. A traditional priest blessing her foretold that she would attain unusual longevity. The birth of Nana Afia took place 9 years after the exile of Otumfo Ajima Prempeh I by the British, first to Elmina, then to Freetown, and eventually in 1900 to the Seychelles Islands. The exiling of the king and other royals resulted in the Oyuko royals being scattered all over the kingdom. This eventually affected Nana Afia, her mother, and her siblings. They stayed at Mada in a shrine house until King Prempeh I returned to Kumasi in 1924. They then went first to stay at the Akomuni's house palace at Asafo, and then later to the Menshia Palace, till Nana Afia moved to live with a stool wife of the Asantehene called Ohiniri Nana Afia Fokuo. With a smooth, dark complexion, Nana Afia grew beautifully and physically strong. She manifested virtues of humility, submission, and hard work. In line with the prevailing climate that royals should not go to school, she did not have the privilege of a classroom education, but she was fully educated and tutored in matters of behavior, culture, hygiene, self-help, and so on. Her specialty was cooking various Asante dishes, such as siwie, eto, adibianchini womu, aprapransa, mfohu, and boswa. These were mouth-watering starters that she served her guests before they were invited to the main meal. She was ushered into womanhood through the performance of the Bragro ceremony when she reached the age of puberty. Even at that time, Nana believed in cleanliness of the body, of clothing, and surroundings as a veritable mark of a truly cultured person. These traits singled her out as an Asante woman throughout her 111 years on earth. Through her first marriage to Opanin Kofi Fofie of Besiase near Atimeti in the Kwabre district of Asante, she was blessed with 3 children. Nana Makwaedu, popularly called Nana Penyin, still alive. The late Bema Kwabnapoku and the late Nana Amasewa. One of quite a few remarkable incidents in the life of Nana Afia was that it took the intervention of a traditional priest to make her deliver Nana Makunedu safely and easily. Her second marriage was to Ohinenana Kwame Boache Dankwa, who hailed from Kentintrain in the Achuma Kwangoma district of Asante. Ohinenana Boache Dankwa succeeded his father, Kwaku Diagari, of Brashiahene, in charge of Otumfuo's gun carriers. And he was also the grandson of Nana Kwaku Dia I, Asantehene from 1834 to 1867. The marriage, which produced 2 sons, Bema Kosi Prempe of blessed memory and Bema Kwaku Dia, the present Asantehene Otumfuo II, had the full support of Otumfuo Sir Osajima Prempe II, her brother. It is said that after the birth of Bema Akwesi Prempe, Nana Afia was contemplating to seek divorce, but Otumfuo Sir Osajima Prempe II advised against it. Nana Afia listened to her brother, and soon after, she conceived Bema Kwaku Dia. The day Nana Afia called on her brother to present Bema Kwaku Dia, the child wet Otumfuo's cloth, whereupon Otumfuo Sir Osajima Prempe tapped the child's head 3 times, saying, Kratumi, 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 Wabatnasi, literally meaning powerful soul, powerful soul, powerful soul. I wish you long life. He prophesied that this young boy would be great one day, specifically that one day he would sit on Bagumaso. Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa II cherished her relationships with her paternal relations, especially Ohiniba Mensambunsu, Hiahini, who took special care of Bema Kwaku Dia, the last child of Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II, now Otumfuo II, Asantehene. He trained him on the instructions of Otumfuo Sir Osajima Prempe II to be capable of excelling in most standards of human life during his youth. Other paternal relations were the late Enwa Masewa, the late Ohiniba Osebunsu, Nana Kuya Ampemfa, the late Nana Krapa Enam, Nana Majimai, Yawuhima. Also, Nana Afia had innumerable companions who included Nana Yamponsa of Ohiniba Tipin's Palace, Kumasi, the late Nana Kuya Mansa of Insuta Asante, the late Nana Amachampoma I, Ahina Namahima of Sikajwa, the late Nana Amadapa of Pejahima. Nana Afia was such a model of sterling traditional, cultural, moral, social, and religious character traits that when the Asantehemaa Nana Serwaa Nyako II died, Otumfuo Pokuara II had no hesitation whatsoever in selecting her as the 13th Asantehemaa in 1977 at the age of 72. Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II exhibited rare qualities of humanity, friendship, love, and justice as a human being. She was a woman who loved her children exceedingly well, but she never excluded other members of the royal family and outside the royal family from her kindness as the mother of the Asantes. Biologically, she was the mother of Otumfuo Osei II, whom she judiciously selected as the king of Asante, as it was her duty when Otumfuo Pokuara II, who had made her Asantehemaa, passed away. As Asantehemaa, she saw to it that neither Otumfuo Pokuara II nor Otumfuo Osei II discriminated in their munificence to members of the royal family and others. If it is the duty of a natural mother to advise her son, who is in a big position of responsibility, it is even more the case for Nanahemaa to advise the king as a cultural mother. This duty, Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II performed to an extraordinary degree. She encouraged her sons. She supported them in the good things they did, advised them on the right path, bore their sorrows and joys, their triumphs and their frustrations. She brought her tremendous wealth of wisdom to bear on the traditional rule of her sons, Otumfuo Pokuara II and Otumfuo Osei II. There is no doubt that because Otumfuo Osei II followed the wise counsel of a devoted mother in the double sense of biological birth and cultural exigency, it became possible after his installment as King of Asante to become known as King Solomon. Through the urging and advice of Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II, a special day was set aside for Ahima of Asante during the 15th anniversary celebration of Otumfuo Osei II's installment. But interestingly enough, the Ahima of Denchira in the central region, the Ahima from Achim in the eastern region, and the Ahima from the Volta region also came to the celebration. This helped to give the occasion a national character. Nanahemaa was a life patron of the Ghana Women Initiative Foundation, established by Dr. Esther Oklu and others. The functions of the foundation were to encourage the education of girls, the empowerment of women, the inculcation of good traditional and moral values in women, etc. Even though she was of royal blood, Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II was never boastful. She pointed out what was wrong and what was right to those concerned. Right from her infancy, she never dressed up immodestly. And from the time of her installment, It should be recalled that before she became Asantehemaa, the Afia had passed books from UAC, CFAO, and UTC, with which she engaged in the sale of cloth and other trading activities. She also dealt in the sale of lumber products, which were supplied by her nephew, Ohniba Osebunzu, of TAT fame. As a young girl, she served ungrudgingly her senior relatives. These included her predecessor, Nana Masewa Nyaku. In her early years, a prophetic statement was made that she and her son would in the future hold responsible positions in society. Although Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II was a woman of culture to the core, she was also a committed Christian. At the age of 22, she was baptized and confirmed in the Anglican faith at St. Cyprian's Anglican Church in Kumasi. This was in 1927, 3 years after the return of King Prempeh I from the Seychelles Islands in 1924. The name given to her at her christening was Mariafo, but this was a corrupted form of Afoduo, her father's name. She enrolled in the Good Shepherd Society of the church and held on to her faith. Until her death, she was a communicant. The Anglican clergy of St. Cyprian's Cathedral frequently said Mass for her and her son at the Menchia Palace. Her second husband, being a Catholic, asked for her last 2 children to be baptized in the Catholic Church. Indeed, it was the present Catholic Archbishop Emeritus of Kumasi, the Most Reverend Peter Kwesi Sapon, who baptized Burma Kwakudia, the present Asantehene. Kumasi Mine, Asantehema, and Ghana hail you, Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II, as the embodiment of what is best in Ghanaian womanhood. You had a tremendous sense of discipline. You would not succumb to political pressure to influence your choice of the King of Asante. You were blessed with the old age of 111 years, during which you never completely lost any of your faculties or senses. You had a colossal memory and sharp mind, which right up to your passing away did not diminish. You were able to remember people, places, events, and occurrences, and you remember them with amazing ease and in incredible minute detail. God, your creator, even while you were still alive, had shown satisfaction in your performance as Ohima. Go to your mother Mary. She will conduct you to her son, and her son will introduce you to your great ancestors of Oyoko at Asamando. Nana Deye.
Nana Deye. Yadi nyina Asantehema ho asem and Dr. Thomas Prempeh abekenka. Afei tribute by Otumfuo Osetu Abebiot. Yem niaba Oheneba Akuacha beba abekenka amaye. Tribute by Otumfuo Asantehema Eba. Otumfuo say tutu ono ni tribute ni ebe kinkan. Otumfuo ono ni tribute. Wachira mane maame ena ne ba ohene ba akuacha ebe kinkan. Enu nti Otumfuo ena okase.
To my dear mother, our great ancestors have left us a wonderful adage. Wuni wua webusiasa. The departure of one's mother to eternity terminates one's blood relationships on earth. Your passing away leaves me homeless. I thank the good Lord for giving you to me for 66 years as my mother. You have indeed been my all. You did not only give me life, you gave me life that is worth living. You brought me up in the cultural traditions of our forefathers. You gave me the best of humanity to make me what I am today. You were a beacon of wisdom to me. You loved me and my siblings. And you did everything for us except condone evil in our lives. You were a disciplinarian to the core. You were the mother with whom I conferred. The members of our great clan and others always looked up to you. You were Eja, on whom we wholly depended. You were a killer of hunger for us, our savior, the slender arm full of kindness, the ruler whose strengths were on all hearts. You taught us the value of hard work. As a young boy, you did not want me to be pampered. How can I thank you enough for preparing me for a position of glory as the king of Asante, which you so generously and affectionately bestowed on me. As your baby king, you continue to provide for me the pool of wisdom to drink from. You were with me in my moments of joy and fulfillment, and moments of sorrow and frustration. Obataimpa, who used the precious bodom beads in cracking palm nuts. You have done what you can for Asantehemaa and Ghana. You have helped me as my mother in a double sense, not to disgrace you in my function as Asantehene or Wahine. Asantehemaa joins me in mourning the passing away of our Asantehemaa. You will in time be succeeded by a successor to be chosen by me. But in the meantime, I have lost that which cannot be replaced. I have lost the mother who gave me life, my fountain of advice and counsel, and the anchor of my very existence. You were the center of my life.
Yes.
I owe everything I have achieved in life to you, to the unbounded love that you always showed to me and to the gentle tutoring that I received from you. You have been the example that has guided me and the beacon by which I have steered through life. You were not just my mother, you were also a mother to many others. With your passing away, many have lost a mother and a worthy example. To me, you are irreplaceable. You have been my rudder and my guide, the mother of mothers, Without you, life will never be the same again for me. Old lady will forever remain unique to me. You made me proud by the example you set, and you gave me confidence by your very presence. It gave me immense pleasure to observe the very easy relationship that you struck with all people, including the famous and well-known and the insignificant and obscure. You instilled in me true pride in my ancestry and joy in my pedigree. But you also taught me to show respect to everyone, regardless of their status in life. I shall miss you every day of my life. You were to me the very epitome of royalty and style. I was especially delighted and felt very proud when you were selected by my brother, Otumfuo Opokuwari II, as Asantehema. In that capacity, you projected majesty and royalty. But to me, you remain special in many ways. As a source of advice and counsel, you were incomparable. As a loving parent, you were unmatched. As the example in my life, you have been without parallel. You have been the dependable pillar of strength on whom I've been able to rely all my life. You have been there for me in the most difficult situations of my life. I particularly recall my early days when you used to visit my late uncle, Ohineba Mensa Bonsu, Hiahine, to check on me without me knowing you were my mother, pretending you were visiting your brother and sister, Afia Serwaa, at Ashanti New Town. In a similar way, Otumfuo Osei Ajemain Prempe II, Asantehene, my uncle, would also make visits from time to time to check on me. On all these occasions, as you and my uncle Ohineba Mensa Bonsu were to reveal later, I was introduced as the son of my uncle. I became convinced that the training, the upbringing, and the tutelage I had after being removed from the comfort of royalty at Menchia Palace to Ashtown, all the way to Sefirioso, were all decisions that were taken in my interest. I'm forever grateful to you, to my uncle Otumfuo Osei Ajemain Prempe II Asantehene, and to a greater extent, my uncle Ohineba Mensa Bonsu, your beloved brother. As Asantehene, it was my duty to look after and care for you, but you rather looked after and cared for me. Always eager to find out from Yao and Esau and my dear wife, Lady Julia, whether I'd eaten or not. You would check with Sanahine and Ananom Sahine why I had sat for so long adjudicating over cases. Your worry was that litigation would never end in Asantehemaa. You always advised me not to sit for long hours because it was not good for my health. You enjoyed seeing me in the mornings after my return from playing golf or after my exercise from the gym, sweating because I was looking after my health. You made it a point for me to phone you every morning when I traveled outside the country to enable you to know whether I was all right. I still remember when I delayed in telephoning because I might have had an early meeting, only to be told upon telephoning later by either Ajimain Bedu, Kofienchi, or Akwesi, your attendants, you had not eaten your breakfast because I had not called. I still recollect the excitement you showed upon realizing that I had called, and the first query was why it had taken me so long to phone. Whatever answer I gave in reply was very satisfactory because you had heard from me. A loving mother indeed. The two of us enjoyed our wheelchair rounds as age began to take its toll, with me pushing you around your compound, stopping intermittently to have a chat, and also enjoying the fresh air outside. I remember you cautioning me that we should be very careful not to let any of the chiefs see us, lest you would be reprimanded for letting the Asantehene push your wheelchair, and me responding that I was doing that for my mother as a son. You laughed about it. Surely, the caution was because of how you cherished and respected the position of Asantehene. Even though you knew nothing about Freemasonry, you still inquired about when next my lodge meeting and my brothers were coming for banquet. The reason? Because you always prepared some traditional foods like boswa, sirie, atidria to add up to the food to be served. Your adoption of Sir Sam Jonah Kwesi Kakraba, whom you affectionately refer to as Mebobuase, and Chief Sir Osawaru Igbenedian, Isama of Benin Kingdom, Nigeria, as your sons, assures me that I still have brothers that I can rely on. I'm also forever grateful to you for my dear wife, Lady Julia. When I told you that I had met someone I wanted to marry, you asked to see her first before I took a decision. You then asked me, upon her introduction, to leave her with you for a while, just the two of you, and should come back for her later, which I obliged. After a while, you asked for her to be brought back to me. Upon seeing you the next day and inquiring from you about your meeting with my wife-to-be, you said you were not ready yet to give me an answer, and that I should come the next day. You then asked to see me on the third day and said to me that you now had an answer for me. The answer was that the lady was indeed my wife, and that I should be at peace with her. A prophecy that has manifested throughout our marriage of peace, love, trust, and understanding. For all these, I thank you with a deep sense of gratitude. Now, I must navigate through life without your guidance and support, and without your abundant love. I frankly do not know how I can do it, but I promise to do it because of the memory of your love for me, and in recognition of the wonderful example that you set by your life. I'm exceedingly grateful for the long life that God granted you, and for the many good deeds you were permitted to do for me and for many others. I shall never forget what you represented and all that you did for me and for my family. I also thank you for the motherly love that you gave to my paternal siblings, Amajimai and the rest, all of whom you looked after as your uterine children. I hereby give this vow. I shall remain true to your advice, and I shall forever remember and live by your words of wisdom. I shall also love you for the rest of my life, and I shall never forget nor ignore your many words of advice and the example of your life. Nor shall I ever forget what you have been to me and Nana Penny and my late brothers and sister. I shall always remember and live by your wise advice and helpful warnings. Otumfuo Mame, rest in perfect peace. May you have the peaceful repose that you have earned. I thank you for your many good works, for your shining example, and for your words of wisdom to me and many others. Nanahema Nanti Ye.
Amen. Otumfuo Mame, rest in peace. Nanahema Nanti. Lady Julia, you Otumfuo Yere. Onoso eba bedi nase Asantehema ho dance. A tribute by Otumfuo's wife, Lady Julia. Read by Madam Ama Bewia. Madam Ama Bewia.
To my sweet mother-in-law, tribute by Lady Julia Osei Tutu, consort of Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. The concept of mother-in-law seems to carry a bit of a negative connotation with some women. I was fortunate to have had in Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem a perfect mother-in-law devoid of such a trait. From the very beginning of my marriage to Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, I dreaded to the core my first introduction to Nanahema, as we all affectionately called her. I knew I would not just be meeting any mother-in-law, but one who happened to be no meaner person than the Asantehema. Secondly, I had heard that my Achim heritage would definitely be an issue for her and the elders who would object to Otumfuo marrying an Achim woman. When I eventually met her, I felt totally accepted. She eased all the anxiety I had harbored, and she became my other mother. I believe she was more interested in my character than where I came from. She rather wondered whether I would be a good partner for her son, whom she was so passionate about and who was always her top priority. Nanahema immediately took me under her wing and helped me settle into what was going to be a different and fairly challenging lifestyle for me. I remember a visit from her in the very first week of moving to Kumasi. On hearing Asantehema had sent some of her attendants to see me, my mind went flying in several different directions as I tried to guess what the reason for this visit could be. I had been told all sorts of stories by people who claimed to know the kind of life I would face after marrying into such a sacred, huge, and very traditional institution. So I was easily intimidated. To my surprise and delight, the ladies were carrying baskets with all sorts of pots and pans, and they informed me that Asantehema had sent me some fufu and soup, as she realized I had probably not been able to organize my kitchen yet and was most likely missing some good home cooking. The soup, I discovered to my delight, was ebunebuno, with huge snails, bushmeat, assorted dried fish, etc., to welcome their chim lady. Asantehema's soup, as I am sure all can imagine, was special. As soon as I saw it, I knew I had come home. This was followed a few days later with a to and the accompaniments of pear and kobi, prepared in the typical Asante way. Thus started a ritual whereby various mouth-watering soups and other Asante dishes were alternatively delivered to me twice every week. In this way, the void of the loss of my own mother's soup was immediately filled. To have my mother-in-law and someone in her exalted position take such a personal interest in my well-being was truly humbling and heartwarming. I began to wonder if Asantehema and my biological mother had not been close in the pre-existence. As I settled in the royal circles, and as was expected, I would make mistakes. When I did, Asantehema would always defend me before sending for me and pointing me in the right direction. This was a true mother who would cover the mistakes of her child and then guide him or her on the right path. An interesting example of this was when I would go around without using the third piece or cover cloth of my cover and slit, oblivious of the anxiety I was causing. When Asantehema was told, and knowing that this was probably a new thing for me, she was quick to defend me, arguing that I did not necessarily have to wear the third piece if I wasn't used to it. I could just drape it over my arm or shoulder, as is the fashion now. She then corrected me gently that whatever the case, I should always carry the third piece on me. After this, we had quite a lengthy discussion on fashion do's and don'ts, and it was fascinating to observe how someone who had had such a traditional upbringing was still so open-minded and understood that times were changing, and so there was the need for me to be accommodated in certain situations. In any other case, I am sure a lecture with the usual telling off, most likely behind one's back, as they say, would have taken place, but not with Asantehema. I never heard one harsh word from her. She treated me like one of her own. For the various traditional festivals and funerals at which I had to wear dancing crown, she would always send someone to inquire if I had the right cloth or if I needed help. And she would always have a wide variety of cloths sent to me from which to make my selection. As I said, I have heard women telling mother-in-law stories, some funny, some not so much, and some quite dreadful. I also have tons of stories I could tell, except that, thankfully, they were all edifying. I considered Asantehema's passing as the homegoing of one of God's most precious gifts to me. I will always remember the advice she gave me, particularly the life lessons she taught me. the rejoicing, merrymaking, and drumming on the birth of my children were very special. She personally supervised the performance of all the traditional rites and rituals that had to be made to welcome them. The interest she took in my projects and NGO, appreciating the times were changing, and so my role as Ohenere would be slightly different, are worth noting. She gave her blessing for me to be a bit more visible and active in public. She was such a wise and gracious woman, and I am glad I took her advice, for it has definitely been one of the reasons for my successful life among Asante royalty. Asantehema's relationship with Otumfuo was just beautiful to watch. The total picture of her, as I saw it, was someone who lived her Christian life, loved her culture, which she cherished, and was deeply fond and protective of Otumfuo, on whom she doted and embraced her family and her people. I will never forget the numerous occasions she would send for me to inquire about Otumfuo's well-being, asking why he had adjudicated for so long on a particular day, and encouraging me to advise him against such lengthy sessions. She would give directions on who could and could not do certain things for Otumfuo, who to talk to in her household if I needed any Asante delicacies for Ohene or his friends, and advice on certain things or people she was not comfortable with. She loved her son exceedingly, which love was equally reciprocated by him. Her wholehearted acceptance and love of me, I know, was due to the love and respect for Otumfuo, which I believe made her ready to accept whoever his choice of a partner was to be, and agreed to love and unflinchingly protect me the way she did to him. I am very much aware that my best friend in the whole world, my love, my rock, has lost the woman who shaped him into who he is today, who loved, cared, and protected him. And I hope I can be half the woman she was for him. Asantehema will be sorely missed, but never forgotten. It is a sort of a joke that every wife gets annoyed by her mother-in-law. But what wouldn't I give to have mine around for a little longer? She possessed so much beauty, grace, love, and patience that I find it a great pity she was already well advanced in age when I came into her life. To me, she will always be the amazing woman who gave me a husband far better than anyone deserves. And I will forever be grateful that I was a part of her life. Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II. Asantehemaa. Demri Fedrie. Drie. Asepa Nantiye. Oba Taimpa. Waye Biampa. Kodru Fie Jojojo.
Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II. Asantehemaa. Oba Tampa Waye Biampa. Kodru Fie Jojo. Yada Lady Julia Ase. With all apologies, we are going to read the last tribute, and the rest, when you go home, you relax and read and know how much people love Asantehemaa and Asantehene. Now, tribute by the Anglican Diocese of Kumasi and the whole Anglican Church by the Diocesan and Synod Secretary.
Tribute to the memory. Tribute to the memory of Her Royal Highness Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II by the Anglican Diocese of Kumasi. Then I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works follow them." Her Royal Highness Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II was born into a family where Christianity as practiced in the Anglican tradition was well established. Her Royal Highness was therefore baptized and confirmed in the Anglican Church in St. Cyprian's Anglican Church in her infancy. She remained faithful to her baptismal and confirmation vows throughout her life. As a young lady, Her Royal Highness featured prominently in the activities of the church and especially in the programs of the Guild of the Good Shepherd, of which she was an important and active member. Her Royal Highness, even in her youth, was a unifying agent because her presence brought together the women's guilds in the church and enabled them to maintain a harmonious environment in which they could operate. Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II was in latter years an important advisor to the parish priest of St. Anne's Parish, where she normally worshipped. Her advice was always respected, and this helped in restoring peace and order in the church and promote its welfare, unity, and advancement. When Her Royal Highness ascended the throne, the Queen Mother's throne, she became also the patroness of almost all the women's guilds of the diocese. In spite of the heavy responsibilities that her royal position imposed on her, she found time to interact with the guild leaders and encourage and inspire them to remain steadfast and unyielding in the face of difficulties. One of her popular functions as Queen Mother was the unveiling of the plaque of St. Mary's Mission House for its dedication by the late Bishop Edmund Yeboah at Chirapatre, an event that attracted much attention and which brought to Her Royal Highness the comfort and satisfaction that she so much deserved and cherished. Nana Afia Serwaa Ampem II was a devoted Christian lady, very particular about her attendance in church for the Holy Communion. Towards the end of her life, she could not attend the Mass service in church. The sacrament was administered to her at home. Whenever she was informed that the Archbishop or the visiting priest was in the palace to administer Holy Communion, Her Royal Highness would patiently wait and prepare herself to receive the communion. On some occasions, where the Archbishop's visit came on at a time that Her Royal Highness was taking a nap or sleeping, the bishop or priest was told that strict instructions had been given to the maids to wake her up in order that she might not miss the sacrament. This confirms that Her Royal Highness attached special respect and importance to the sacrament, the Archbishop and priests who administered the Eucharist, and to her relationship with her Maker. She would, on such occasions, donate some money to the officiating clergy for the benefit of the church. Her Royal Highness Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem II lived a life that was dominated and guided by the accepted Christian virtues of love, patience, humility, and meekness. In spite of her high royal position, she never allowed ostentatious publicity, pride, and flamboyant living to be associated with her. What could be discerned from the simplicity of her life is that she was the embodiment of the highest form of wisdom. This wisdom she passed on to her children, some of whom, like His Majesty Otumfuo Osei II, has become a role model monarch and a pace setter for kings in our country and beyond. Nana Afia Kobi Serwaa Ampem was the 13th Queen Mother of the Asante Kingdom. She reigned for 39 years. Nana was the pillar of strength and source of wisdom behind the transformational reign of His Majesty Otumfuo Osei II, Asantehene. Her Royal Highness Nana Afia Kobi Ampem II came into the world at heaven's command to play a role on the world's stage. She has kept the faith as an honest Christian lady. She has run the race with all her strength like a seasoned athlete, and has in all respects accomplished the task assigned for her to undertake, and has been recalled home by the Lord Jesus Christ, whom she loved and faithfully served during her lifetime on earth. The Anglican Diocese of Kumasi and all your loved ones bid you farewell with love in our hearts and tears of sorrow in our eyes. It is our fervent prayer and hope that the Lord shall grant you a place by His side in His heavenly kingdom, so that you can join the heavenly host in singing to His glory eternally. Farewell, handmaid of the Lord, until we meet again on the resurrection morning at the sound of the heavenly trumpet. May you enjoy eternal peace and endless bliss in the arms of the Lord. Farewell. Hark, hark, my soul, angelic songs are swelling.
AFG.